In today's video, we're simply going to look at how to factorize a difference of two squares. The first question is exactly how a difference of two squares should look like. It's the standard form of a difference of two squares, so you know how to identify that. You always should have two terms. Both terms should be squares, a is to the power of 2, b to the power of 2, and you should have a minus or a difference between the two terms so that you can actually factorize them. So let's get to that. So then the first thing that you would want to do is to open up two brackets. Thereafter, you want to get the square root of the first term. The square root of a squared is simply a, and I'm going to write a here, and then in the second bracket as well, I'm going to write a. The square root of b squared is simply b as well as b. Then I can write plus, minus, or you can write plus here and then a minus there. It simply doesn't matter. This is correct and that is correct. We go to number 2. Number 2, I have 9x squared minus 36y squared. 9 is a perfect square, x squared is a perfect square. 36 is a perfect square, y squared is also a perfect square. So once again, open up two brackets. The square root of 9 is simply 3 as well as 3. The square root of x squared should be x as well as x. Square root of 36y squared is going to be 6y as well as 6y. And then once again, I can write plus or minus depending on how you want to arrange them. Both of these should be exactly correct. The third question now, pay attention. You have x to the power 4 and minus 16 to the power 4. Here's what's going to happen here. This one might just be a bit different, but it's exactly the same concept. X to the power 4, the square root of that is simply going to be x squared as well as x squared. 16, the square root of that, the square root of 16y to the power 4 is going to be 4y squared as well as 4y squared. I'm going to put a plus here and I'm going to put a minus here. But now pay attention to this second bracket here. I have x squared minus 4y squared, meaning that this is further than another difference of two squares. So it means that I can continue. So then I'm going to write what I have here. That's x plus 4y to the power of 2. I can't factorize that, but I can certainly factorize this. Square root of x squared is simply going to be, let me just try to increase my screen here so that everyone can actually see what I'm about to do. And then in this bracket, I'm factorizing, once again, I'm factorizing this. So that should simply become x plus the square root of 4y squared is going to be 2y. Close this bracket, and then of course I need to have x minus 2y. So instead of for this solution of this, the solution of this then ends up with 3 brackets and not just 2, and that is because this here is also now a difference of two squares. Let me take away this eraser. And then finally now I have 25 minus open brackets y plus 5 to the power of 2. This looks strange, but certainly I promise you that it's not. So I'm going to open up parentheses here. Then I'm going to say 5, right? I'm going to say minus. You treat this now as a single term. You treat this as a single term. And what would the square root of this be? It's simply going to be y plus 5. Close this bracket and close the parentheses. Open parentheses once more. So it's going to be 5 plus open brackets y plus 5. Close that parentheses. And then you are done.